Good morning and welcome back to another Talklets conversation. Let's go ahead and jump right in. We are creatures of habits, if you will. And during this particular season, you have so many people who are trying to fit in with different cliques, different groups, different organizations. No one wants to stand alone. Everybody feels they have to be attached to someone or something. And not that that's bad within itself, but when you're trying to fit in by trying to get in, you know the little statement we make, I'm going to fit in by getting in, or I'm going to get in by fitting in, but you're trying to force the issue. You're trying to force a friendship. You're trying to force yourself upon a company. You're trying to force yourself upon some lady, or you're trying to force yourself on some man. I mean, we're trying to make it happen. And really, when you think about it, it's just natural. I mean, friendship. I mean, someone inviting you to join their group, that should happen naturally. It should be something that connects normally. And for most of us, it's not. You're trying to force your way in. No matter what it is, you're trying to get in the best way you can because you're uncomfortable waiting. Forrest Gump made the statement that life is like a box of chocolate. And he's so right. He is so right. Because when you look at Forrest has all of these, if you will, limitations because he has a disability. And so he has complications because of their disability. But you don't see him crying. You don't see him complaining. He makes the profound statement that life is like a box of chocolate. He said, this life is great. I don't know what y'all talking about. Yeah, I've got some issues. He said, but it's not holding me back from really echoing how beautiful this life is. Some of you never take time to realize that just by being birthed into this earthly realm, what a blessing that truly is. And so you don't even have to fit in. He's already fits you into his plan because he created you. In the book of Philippians chapter 1, God makes a statement, he who began a good work, God who began a good work, a God work in you will bring it to completion at the day of Jesus Christ. God is telling you that whatever he starts, he finishes. Can you say the same? I mean, do you finish everything that you start? If you were fitting into the right place where you were supposed to be fitting into, you'd always complete every task, every assignment that you've been given. But this life that we live it's like pieces of a puzzle. And if you're going to fit in the way you should fit in, you're going to have to be the piece that places itself in the right place. You can't position yourself out of place or you mess up the whole puzzle. God called you good. And if God called you good work, don't let anyone call you bad. God said you are a good work. That's because he created you. Don't let anyone tell you anything different. No one. Because this life is also filled with picking up those pieces every single day. Those pieces of your puzzle, you've got to pick that stuff up every single day. Because life is like pieces of a puzzle. Life can be confusing. It can be complex. But it's also very rewarding. I do mean very rewarding. Most holidays, I will normally buy a 5,000 piece puzzle. I'm quite sure some of you have done the same thing, and I'll spread it over the living room table, and we will stop by and try to put it together sometimes as we're cooking and cleaning, buying presents, wrapping presents, getting the house ready for the holiday season. We're just busy moving through, but every once in a while we'll sit down for a moment and somebody will try to move a piece of the puzzle in place. And we all have our different ways of putting this thing together. Some of us will start in the middle of the puzzle, if you will. Some of us will. Some of you will start on what I call the hedges, on the edge, on the rim of the puzzle. And some of you will start on the corners. Some of you will look at the sky and try to put the sky in if there's a sky. And some of you will start on the foundation on the bottom and try to put that together. But that's what life is like. We all pursue it in a different way. We all are looking at life as if it's a big old puzzle. And there's so many pieces. So it's so complex, our lives. But we're trying to piece it together by putting the right pieces in this puzzle of life, in our life, at the right time. Because when you look at it, a puzzle is nothing but a game. But life is real. And the life we live is a test of each person's ingenuity, if you will, each person's knowledge. I told you, this life we live, if we're not careful, we're going to spend our lifetime trying to keep it together, to keep all the pieces together. So at any given moment, most of you don't realize that you're working on two puzzles at the same time. You've got this 5,000 piece puzzle on one living room table. And now you pull out another 5,000 piece puzzle, because that's who we are. We're trying to fit in. And the only way to fit in is to see where I get in on the right puzzle. What piece should be moved next? And so instead of completing this assignment, staying with this particular puzzle, because God has already given us examples. He says, he who began a good work in us will see it, watch this, see it completed at the day of Jesus Christ. I mean, he's telling us to whatever you start, finish. But we're so busy being busy, and we're so busy trying to fit in. Some of you make this so complex. So let me just take you back to the beginning where this whole puzzle started. In the beginning, the puzzle of creation. And then the puzzle of man falling out of grace. And then in the middle of this puzzle, we see Jesus Christ coming to rescue us from us, to save us from working on all these puzzles. And at the end of your puzzle, it's spiritual. It's judgment because of your personal decision or your personal denial or not accepting Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. So there are some things we're going to have to work on. The beginning of your puzzle, the middle of your puzzle, and the ending of your puzzle. It depends on how you want to put it together. Jesus has already done his part. He's already in play in your puzzle. Where do you plug yourself in? How do you fit in? Your family dynamics has a puzzle. And each individual in your family plays a role in the family puzzle and also in their own individual puzzle. My father is a puzzle all unto himself. And then when he looks at my mother, she's a puzzle for him to figure out. My mother is a puzzle all unto herself. And when she looks at my father, he's a puzzle all unto himself for her to try to figure him out. And then in my family, we have 12 children. That's 12 different individual puzzles, but my mother and father have to try to insert themselves into our puzzles, the pieces that needed more, instruction, more guidance. And so you see them trying to really work with this complex issue of working in 12 different puzzles, if you think about it. And they have their own puzzles to work on, and then themselves as spouses as well. That's a lot of work. That can be exhaustive. But each puzzle is in play for the family to win. It takes time to move the pieces in the right places. I am the oldest son, the third oldest in my family. And I have to be very careful with this piece that I am in the puzzle of my family, because it's very critical that I go in place, if you will, as smoothly as I can, because the next person, the next sibling behind me is looking at my pattern, and they're trying to connect as well, connect with my parents, but also connect with me, because I'm kind of mentoring them along the way. I mean, let's be real. We all babysit and take care of one another. So they're looking up to me. Your family members are looking up to you and looking at what you're doing. And if you're out of place, you can throw the whole puzzle, the whole family dynamics off track. Where do you fit in your family? I told you my family, there's 12 pieces, which means there's 12 different personalities. Wow. And some of you only have 2 people in your family, 3 people in your family, and y'all can't get it together with just 2 or 3 people. I mean, you think that's 10,000 pieces. When you look and talk to you guys, I mean, you're such a wreck. And it's like, will you just calm down and just fit where you're supposed to fit? Yeah. Stop trying to make so much haste, and stop trying to be so selfish. There it is. There it is. Because it's always one family member, always one who raised the most hell because they're selfish. Not every man can fit into your puzzle. Not every man. I know you like them. I know you're lonely. You got kids at home, and you want someone to be their daddy, and so you think this man is the right man. But if he's not the right fit, you must have quit. You must let him go. Don't try to push him in just because he's a man. I mean, don't put your family at risk because of your loneliness. You see, Adam did that in the garden. Adam was lonely. And you see where we are right now. So be very, very, very careful trying to fit something in where it doesn't really go. when you look at marriage and we talk about marriage being one flesh, as Genesis tells us, one flesh. It's one puzzle. Yeah, you move and I move. I mean, we move together. And that's a beautiful marriage. You don't really find that though. Let me tell you why. Because most women want to be modern, if you will. These terms, here come these terms. They want to be a modern puzzle. And they're looking though for a traditional man. They want a traditional puzzle. Yes, that's what they want. But women, I think this is where we're going wrong, because you find yourself working on two puzzles. You're working on a puzzle that's a woman puzzle. And then you have a puzzle that's a wife puzzle. And let me tell you something. Every girl that's born should be practicing, preparing to be a wife. Every girl, every daughter. Every son being born should be practicing, should be preparing to be a husband. You should be preparing for the bridegroom who's coming. You're the bride on both sides. And so what should be taking place is we've gotten caught up in this modern stuff and this traditional stuff. And what we should be caught up into is that, I need to be a wife, preparing to be a wife, a holy wife. I need to be preparing to be a husband, a holy husband. See, those are the puzzles we should be working within. All the pieces are just outside noise trying to get in. Can you keep it out? Can you go holiness or do you go hellish? Do you join the modern group, or the traditional group? Or do you join God's group? Women, are you listening to me? You can't have it both ways. You can't be in both puzzles. You got to come to holiness. That's what every man wants. Yeah, he wants a freaking bed and a lady outside of the house. Well, hold up. He wants you to be holy. That's the puzzle that gives him peace. Every other puzzle, that's stress. It's a mess. Man, your woman wants a husband who's holy. Your wife, yes. He that findeth a wife findeth a good thing and obtaineth favor. Well, she has to be a wife in practice before she becomes a wife. He has to be a husband in practice before he becomes a husband. That's the puzzles we should be working on. Stop all this crazy stuff that we get ourselves into. Stop making all these excuses. Stop being a victim. Yes, stop blaming everybody else. Come on. Think about it for a moment. Jealousy cripples your gifts. Listen to me. Jealousy cripples your gifts. And envy sucks the life out of your relationship. And then hate derails your dreams. That's what you see happening right now. And that's why you don't see the puzzles. You don't see people fitting together just so normally, so naturally, because you've got so much hate inside of you. You got so much jealousy and you got so much rebellion that you're sucking the life out of your relationship. All because of terms, modern, tradition. Complaining is a trap when you think about it. That will snare you in your own ideology of self-doubt. That's what most of you are doing, and self-defeat. It's an internal suicide of yourself. That's what it is. And it's an external genocide of your legacy. That's what you're doing. Let me say it again. Complaining is a trap. Just hear me. It will snare you in your own ideology of self-doubt and self-defeat. It's internal suicide to yourself and an external genocide of your legacy. Because see, you're trying to work on two puzzles at the same time. And all you're doing is complaining because you're only supposed to be in one puzzle, one flesh, if you will. One God. Yes. That's where you should be. Every day you wake up, you begin to work on your individual puzzle every single day. I mean, each day I wake up, I realize I have 3 children and I have 2 grandchildren. I have a wife, and I realize that I've got my own individual puzzle. Then I got to look at my wife and I got to realize I got to fit into her puzzle today as well. And I've got to take care of my puzzle now, don't get me wrong. And then I've got children, I got to fit into their puzzles, and to my grandchildren, I got to fit into their puzzles. And then I got family and friends, and I've got to fit into their puzzles. So God has given us a spirit to deal with all of these puzzles in life, all these pieces, moving pieces. Yes. Because your life is forever in motion until you complete your mission. It's almost impossible to finish a puzzle in one setting. See, stop being so impatient. It's almost impossible. That's why I put that puzzle on the table and we have it there for a month or two so we can just keep coming by and putting pieces in. And sometimes your company comes over and put pieces in. Sometimes your friends come over and try to put a piece in here or there. And the only concern I have with this one is be careful who you let touch your puzzle. And what I mean by this, be careful who you allow to touch your children. Who's mentoring your children? What piece are they trying to fill in that's a puzzle of your child? Be very careful who you allow mentor your family. Because some people are up to no good. Some people are trying to cut a piece off with some scissors to fit in. That ain't going to work. Yeah, trying to take the easy way. No, you don't need them showing your kids any shortcut like that. That's not going to work. That's deceptive. And you don't need deceptiveness in your family genes. You don't need that. How many times have you walked away from an incomplete puzzle, an incomplete daughter, an incomplete son, an incomplete marriage? How many times have you given in to your impatience and just tossed all the pieces of the puzzle back into the box and say, you know what, we'll do it next year? That's what you're doing to your life. That's what you're doing to your marriage. You say, I'll work on it next year. No, you got to work on that every single day. You got to work on those children every single day. You have to work on yourself every single day. Paul tells us in Romans 12, and be not conformed to this world, but be you transformed by the renewing of your mind. Yeah. Renewing of your mind. Where do I put that piece? Strategically, where am I going to put that piece? First of all, I got to renew myself, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. I've got to renew myself every single day to understand I got to have a strategy to be successful, to fit where I should fit comfortably. How disconnected are you this morning? I mean, come on. I know you got some problems in your life. You burn out probably. You probably divorced. You have some illness. You're broken. You're probably depressed. You've probably been abused. Someone's probably died. I mean, come on. How disconnected are you this morning? When was the last time you really fit in? I mean, you fit in so comfortably, you just felt like, you could run this world. That's what I want you to get back to. I want you to get back to where you're fitting in. I want you to get back to where you realize that you are a good thing that God made. You are a good work that he poured into. He started something, he's going to finish it in you. But you've got to get back in place. You got to fit where he wants you to fit. One writer says it like this: looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne of God. Now, Jesus has fit in his place. He's sitting, right beside God. And what he wants you to do is to fit in, with him, because he left space just for you and I. And so I just pray that as we go through this world with all the issues and complexity that it brings to us, know that Jesus he's in his right place, rightful place. And he wants to connect with you. He wants you to be a part of the kingdom as well. And the only way you're going to fit in is you've got to be the piece, that fits in properly in the puzzle of life, in the puzzle of your salvation. And all you have to do to fit in is to remember Romans 10:9. Confess with your mouth that Jesus Christ is Lord, and believe in your heart that God has raised him from the dead, and you too shall be saved. That's all you have to do. That's it. It's a confession with the mouth, and it's a belief in the heart that puts you in place, that fits you into the puzzle of the kingdom. I pray that you want some of this. I know I do. You'll be blessed. And remember, life feels like a box of chocolate. Go out and enjoy yourself. Be glad that God has created you. Smile. And look at how the world smiles back at you.